All right, shalom, shalom. Just got done with the workout. I'm in here and I had some of my books back here. If it gets too cold in here because we're in the garage, we're gonna move this inside. But that being said, I like to be out here because it's kind of private. No one really comes out here when I'm out here either working out or studying, and have my own little kind of a library here. Most of my books are inside. I do have some still out here that aren't unpacked. But I wanted to share some things with you, just the way that things read in different versions of different different scriptures. So right now we're in a Torah portion called Yitro or Jethro. For those who have not looked at the Hebrew text yet, Jethro is actually Yitro, and there's a beautiful story of family coming back together. And when family comes back together, the father is very, very happy. Our creator, our Yahushua, our Jesus, our father, our king. And so Parsha Yitro, it begins in Shemot or Exodus 18 verse 1. And I'm going to read the first 6 verses and from the Complete Jewish Study Bible, and then we're going to read it from the 1611 King James. Then we're going to read it from the Scriptures, and then we're going to read it from the modern King James, and let's see if we can see any differences or what we see here, and how things are worded, and how things are said, and even how things are spelled. It's really interesting. Okay, so chapter 18 verse 1 in Exodus, Shemot 18 verse 1. Now Yitro, the priest of Midian, Moshe's father-in-law, heard about all that God had done for Moshe and for Israel his people, and how Adonai had brought Israel out of Egypt. After Moshe had sent away his wife Zipporah and her 2 sons, Yitro's, Moshe's father-in-law, had taken them back. The name of one son was Gershom, a foreigner there. For Moshe had said, I have been a foreigner in foreign land. The name of the other was Eliezer, my God helps, because the God of my father helps me by rescuing me from Pharaoh's sword. Yitro, Moshe's father-in-law, brought Moshe's sons and wife to him in the desert where he was encamped at the mountain of God. He sent the word to Moshe, I, your father-in-law Yitro, am coming to you with your wife and your 2 sons. Let's read one more verse. Let's go to 7. Okay, so Moshe went out to meet his father-in-law, prostrated himself and kissed him. Then, after inquiring of each other's welfare, they entered in the tent. Moshe told his father-in-law all that Adonai, and right here it'd be Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh or Yahuwah or Yahweh, and for some who understand that one a little better, had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, all the hardships they had suffered while traveling, and how Adonai had rescued them, or Yahuwah. Okay, that's all the way through verse 8. Okay, now that's now I have to read it word for word because I can't change word as I'm reading directly from these scriptures. So normally I use the word Elohim instead of God, but when I'm reading from here, I got to read it as is. I'll give you some insight of what some words mean, but what they have written. So, and there's some legal things that can come up, but that's why I try to read exactly how they have it written. And I'm not the best orator, so I don't speak as well as some, but I try to do my best. Okay, so this is the 1611 edition. Now, this is really interesting. Okay, so if you go right above chapter 18 and you go into chapter 17, and go to verse 15 and 16, there's something very interesting here, how the 1611 pins the name of Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, and that's Yahuwah, Yahweh, okay? So let's read chapter 16, verse 15 and 16, and let's see how things are a little different in 1611 King James, other than the King James we modernly have now. So verse 15, Moses built an altar and called the name of it Yehovah Nisi. For he said, because the Lord, and it's capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, has sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek for generations to generations. Now the word war here is spelled W-A-R-R-E, and we spell it W-A-R, but this is actually the proper term that they use, the proper spelling that they used back in this day when English was being penned. And that's why we got to really be careful when we're reading modern King James Hebrew. They're actually taking from this and where they got their understanding from. The English language is a lot different, had a lot of different meaning, and was always trying to capture what the original Hebrew was saying. But English can never really capture the entirety of Hebrew, but they try to do their best, and I really believe they did a very good job. So when you're here in chapter 17, verse 15 in Exodus, it says that Moses built an altar, and he called the name of it Yehovah Nisi. It doesn't say Jehovah. In the New King James, it says Jehovah Nisi. But in 1611, it actually says Yehovah. That's how it's read. And I'm like, oh wow, they really tried to capture Yahuwah or Yahweh or some form of that, or even if you look at it, you can even been pronounced Yahweh or Yahweh. And when you look at this 1611 King James version, the letters V and U are actually have each other's sounds. So like the word have, instead of spelling it H-A-V-E, it's spelled H-A-U-E. And so there's some very distinguishing things here that really brings out what King James actually had. If I could ever go back to the museum I went to before and saw the King James Bible that was in glass, and how Jesus' name was spelled, you guys would really be surprised of what is found there. I don't even know. Let me see. Let's go here and see what is here in Matthew. Because it was Matthew that I was reading there. I'm not sure how accurate they brought things over to this transition. This is not an original 1611, but they did the best they could to transpose a lot of the beautiful artwork and stuff is here. So this was actually done in London. But let me see. Yes, okay. So in the 1611, it does not say J-E-S-U-S. It's Yasu. It's really weird spelling. It's I-E-S-U-S in one case, and then it's spelled in different ways throughout the scriptures of the New Testament. I'm reading from the Holy Bible, 1611 edition, and it's a King James version. Okay, so the new King James modern version, which is one of these. I don't know if you can see it or not. Let me see if maybe you can capture it on this. Okay, it reads J-E-S, Jesus, like people are used to seeing it. So when the original King James was being penned, it really was trying to capture the essence of who Yahushua was. Some say Yeshua, or it's Yeshua's a close version of it. It's a shortened version of like saying Josh instead of Joshua. It would be Yahushua, but here it's Suhus. So they're trying to say it the best way they can, and taking it from, I don't know if they were looking at a Greek manuscript or a mixture of Latin, Greek, and Aramaic. But if they were looking at Aramaic, the actual writings of Aramaic, it would say something closer to Yahushua, because the Aramaic actually captured most of the Hebrew writing, because it's a sister language of Hebrew. But going back to, just got on a little show there. Let's go back to chapter 18, verse 1, and let's read how Yitro, this portion, this is actually a Torah portion of Yitro, is captured here. So and this actually says, Yitro was priest of Midian. Yitro, it actually says Yitro, it doesn't say Jethro, like in the other King James. It actually matches what the Hebrew says. The priest of Midian. Okay, so when Yitro, the priest of Midian, Moshe's father-in-law, heard of all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, and that the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt, then Yitro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her back, and her 2 sons, which the name of the one was Gershom. For he said, I have been an alien to a strange land. Now the word have here, I have been, it's Haue. Very interesting. So when you get back to the original, or I should say the older English, and in the older English you get, the closer I believe, and I've seen in some cases really, really close to the Hebrew translation. Okay, so verse 4 of chapter 18 in Exodus. And the name of the other was Eliezer, for the God of my father said, he was mine help, and he delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. I have a little hard time when I'm reading this because it's spelled different. You know, delivered, the V is actually U here. Verse 5. And Yitro, Moses' father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife unto Moses into the wilderness, where he encamped at the mount of God. Okay, so right here, sons, like plural, 2 sons or 3 sons or 4 sons, is spelled Sonnes. I guess it's an older version of English. It wasn't codified yet. And the word unto is spelled VNTO. So you see where have uses the U, and the unto is using a V. Very interesting. So if we go back to the English of long ago, we can really see how things were pronounced and said when the English was being penned. So verse 6. And he said unto, it's actually unto Moses, I, thy father-in-law, Jethro, am come unto thee and thy wife and her 2 sons with her. And Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and did obeisance and kissed him. And they asked each other of their welfare, and they came to the tent. And Moses told his father-in-law all that the Lord had done unto Pharaoh and to the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and all the travail that had come upon them by the way, and how the Lord delivered them. Okay, so some very interesting things here. It's going to probably be really hard to see what that says. Let's see if you can get it here. But it's going to be really hard to see what it says, to show you it. But on the very side of verse 7 and 8, it has a little marking, and it says Hebrew peace. So where it says, and they kissed him, and they asked each other of their welfare. The little marks right there for a reason. It's asking them, and it's a Hebrew term. They're asking each other of their shalom, and so they're asking each other of their welfare. So that's the English term that they chose to use instead of shalom, to try to give us the understanding of shalom. It's just not like, are you at peace, or you comfortable, no. Welfare is, how's your health, how's your life, how is your soul, are you happy, are you filled with joy, are you living good, what's your emotional state, what's going on with your life. It means a whole lot. So when the word shalom is used here, they have on the side note of this 1611 trying to give you a greater understanding of the word that was being used there. And it's very beautiful. I think everyone should get a 1611 King James version of the Bible, and I think it will help everybody to try to understand what was trying to be grasped, in the Hebrew. You get the older English versions of the Bible, I think you'll have a greater capability of understanding what was being penned in the Hebrew. Okay, so now we read the 1611 version. Let's read the modern King James version, and we're going to read it as is. Okay, so chapter 18 of Exodus, verse 1. When Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard of all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, and the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt, then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her back, and her 2 sons, of which the name of the one was Gershom, for he said, I have been an alien in the strange land. And verse 4, and the name of the other was Eleazar, for the God of my father said, he was mine help, and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. Verse 5, and Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife unto Moses into the wilderness, where he encamped at the mount of God. And he said unto Moses, I, thy father-in-law Jethro, am come unto thee, and thy wife, and her 2 sons with her. And Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, and did obeisance. Sorry about that. Obeisance means he's bowing down, and kissed him. And they asked each other of their welfare, and they came into the tent. And Moses told his father-in-law all that the Lord had done unto Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and all the travail that had come upon them by the way, and how the Lord delivered them. Okay, so you see how it's an easier read even in this King James version, but there are some things that are here. Now, one thing I keep seeing over and over again, we're going to get to that right now. Let's read one more version of this. There's so many, but I'm going to read one more. Now, this one is called the Scriptures. Okay, the Scriptures. Okay, some call it the ISR for short term, and we'll read it how it's read here. It says, and Yitro, okay, the priest of Midian, Moshe's father-in-law, heard of all that Elohim had done for Moshe and for Yisrael, his people, that Yod He Vah He, that don't even try to pronounce it or spell it out in English, it actually have the Hebrew letters, Yod He Vah He, had brought Israel out of Mitzrayim. And Yitro, Moshe's father-in-law, be sure I'm turning our pages. I hope the dogs aren't bothering. Dogs are outside barking at something, probably a cat, but anyway, so, excuse me for that interruption. It says, and Yitro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, the wife of Moshe, after he had sent her back, and her 2 sons, of whom the name one was Gershom. And he said, I have been a sojourner in the foreign land. And the name of the other one was Eleazar, for he said, the Elohim of my father was my help, and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. Yitro, Moshe's father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife to Moshe in the wilderness, where he was encamped at the mountain of Elohim. And he said to Moshe, I, your father-in-law, Yitro, am coming to you, your wife and her 2 sons with her. And Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, and bowed down and kissed him. And they asked each other about their welfare, and they went into the tent. And Moshe told his father-in-law all that Yod He Vah He had done to Pharaoh and to the Mitzrayites for Israel's sake, all that hardship that had come upon them on the way, and how Yod He Vah He had delivered them. So you see, this one, it brings out a lot more of the Hebrew, but still, even here, it does not show about the welfare. It still doesn't say shalom. Like the 1611 version is trying to give to us that understanding. So there are things that are locked in there in the 1611 King James that are beautiful and point us back to a deeper understanding of Hebrew, even more so than the ISR. Even though the ISR has given us all kinds of Hebrew terms, when really bringing out the Hebrew context, it's beautiful. And I was reading from the Complete Jewish Study Bible, Inside for Jews and Christians. I was reading that one earlier when we first started, and even that one doesn't bring out the shalom. So my thing is this: I love all these versions. I use them all to try to understand the entirety of what is going on in the story and what happened, and trying to pull out the deep meanings that are found there, whether they're in the Hebrew or the older English. And I can even say the ancient English, because there is an ancient English that most of our writings came from, that we have, as far as English is termed in the 1611 King James Version. But one thing that keeps popping out over and over again, and I can't get past it, and it's this. It says that Jethro brought the Zephora and her sons, and he says, and I brought her sons to Moses, and he's telling Moses, I brought your wife and her sons. Now, aren't these Moses' children also? Wouldn't they be his sons, especially as a father back in these days? And I'm like, oh, wow, I really had to stop and think about that. And what I came to a conclusion, and really sat and thought about it, he had Zephora as his wife. They had 2 boys. And now he goes on this excursion. He's gone. He's gone, and he leaves his wife and his children back with the father-in-law for safety, while he goes out there to make war really with Pharaoh. And the father-in-law doesn't know if he's coming back. He doesn't know if he's going to be alive. He doesn't know what's going on. And so the father-in-law takes his place as a father to these children. And rightfully, those children belong to her now, even more than Moshe, because she is spending all the time that she has to trying to train these young men in the best way possible. And so it's just a beautiful way of understanding these things. And Moshe came, and he bowed down himself to Jethro, for like saying, thank you, I honor you as a mentor, as a father figure to him. In his time of need, he went to Jethro, and Jethro gave him a place to stay and gave him a job, and Moses loved him. And Moses, he honored him. He really trusted the things that Jethro had to say and what Jethro had to teach him, because he was an elder. And Jethro later on gives him instruction about all the stuff that's going on, and the judgments and the things that are going on, how to make his own presidential cabinet. If you want to understand what was really going on, he put men in place of a power of rank in order to help take care of the needs of the people, because Moses couldn't do it by himself. And Moses went and he prayed about it first. And Elohim told him, yes, go and do what Jethro has said. And so there was an agreement, and even the father was on Jethro's side and said, yes, do this, it's a good thing. And he went out and he took 70 men, and he entrusted them to help with the load of the needs of the people. And anything that was really hard, or something very drastic, something very very bad, or very important, surely they would bring it to Moses, and Moses would take it to the father and pray about it and give the answer to the people that the father gave him. And so this Torah portion is very special. It's not just about Jethro, even though it's named that, but in here, in this beautiful Torah portion, there's something that's given to the people. And if you really understand what's being said here, what's been given to the people is the Messiah, it's the Mashiach, it's Yahushua, it's Jesus. For you that know him as that, it's the Torah. And so this beautiful deliverance on this mountain, the Father is pouring out truth and understanding and wisdom and knowledge and love and all kinds of mercy and grace right there at that time. He said, I will make you a nation of priests. He was getting ready to do a movement with all the people and lift them up like never before. And he would have led the entire world to come and serve the one and only Elohim, the one and only true God. But the people still had slavery mentality inside of them. They still thought themselves as lowly slaves, and they thought that they couldn't handle the power, they couldn't handle the anointing, they couldn't handle the things that the Father was trying to pass on to them. And so they said, no, we're going to die if we keep feeling this. Moses, you go and speak to him, and whatever he says, we'll do that, because, man, he's powerful. We've seen all that he's done, and he's killing us. And so there's all kinds of stuff that's going on within the next 2 Torah portions, and it's very beautiful. It's Moses tells them how to prepare themselves for 3 days to get ready. You're getting ready to meet your king. Get ready. And right now we can say the same thing that Moshe said to the people of Israel back in those days. Get ready. You're getting ready to meet your king. You really are. And so this is a beautiful thing that the Father has given us here. And if you go and read, let me see, it's 18:1 through 20, all the way through the end of chapter 20, verse, I believe it's 26. And and then we go into Mishpatim, the rulings. But right here, it's very beautiful. If you see it in the Hebrew text, it actually starts with the Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, and Tet, the first 10 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, and they're right next to each one of the commandments that are given to us. Because if you really understand that we are Israel, we're not the new Israel, we are Israel. There's only one Israel. We're still part of the nation of these people that went into the promised land, and they loved the Father and did all that he said. We're still a part of this camp movement, and we're still wandering in the wilderness. We're scattered right now. We're all over the place. But one day the Father is going to come and collect all his children. He says from all the four corners of the world, he's going to come and he's going to gather us together as one. And we're going to be echad, one, unified, tied together, unseparated, one mind and one heart, and with one reason and purpose in life, and that's to serve him with all that we have and all that we are. And if you really understand it, you're great, you're something awesome. The Father has placed this Torah, this beautiful scriptures inside of your heart. When you became his child, when you asked for forgiveness, when you asked for salvation, he gave you this beautiful, precious gift of salvation. He wrote these commandments in your heart, and all you got to do is put the seed of all that truth inside of you. And now it's up to you to cause it to grow. You know what it takes for a seed to grow? Good soil, which is this land. It takes water and it takes the sun. Now let's put that in a spiritual aspect. You have this land, this body. Okay, this is the ground that he put this good seed in. And the seed is the word. And that's what Yeshua says later on in scripture when you study about the word. He put that good seed inside of you. And where does the water come from? How about tears of joy, tears of happiness, tears of just having a burning desire to know him and want to do great things for him. And let those tears flow in your time of prayer and praise and worship. Let the tears fall and let it water that good ground. Let it water that seed that it can grow. And watch what happens. It will start to grow. And the Son, we know who the Son is. So the only begotten of the Father, our Yahushua, our Messiah, our Mishak, and that Son will cause all things to grow, because he caused all things to be created, just as it says in John 1:1. All right, but that's just a small understanding of this Torah portion, Yitro. Take it, study it, read it, digest it, look into it. There's so much there. Go and look, search for yourself. Go and find all these different versions of the Bible and read them all and try to understand the truth that's there and all the things that are hidden. Because if you don't understand the Hebrew text, if you can't read it in Hebrew, there's a lot of things the Father has allowed to come out in English that's trying to give us the understanding of the Hebrew and those deeper understandings that we can use and apply to our life right now. Right now. Go and find them. They're there. I'm trying to help you guys see them and find them. And they're online. There's some things I really don't like online stuff too much because they can change things. But things that are in books, they can't come and change the writing in every single person's book, every single person's Bible. So get as many as you can, put them away, store them away, and hold on to them, because when the things start to go bad, what's the first thing they attack? They start to burn libraries down and burn books. Look at history. It's never changed. All the way from the time of Babylon, all the way up into the time of World War II. Look at what has happened to the books. Look at what happened when people conquer other nations and what they do. They change their language, they change their laws, they change the things that they read and the things that they hear, and even the things that they sing and the way they play music. That's a whole nother study, but I want you guys to understand what I'm saying. You can find these things. They're not that hard to find. Everybody's doing a Google search nowadays. You know, you got Amazon delivering everything to everybody's front door. There's so many different ways to do it. You know, if I can, I'm going to try to find all these, and I'll leave links below. I have an Amazon account where I can put all that stuff out there and put all the things down there for you, and you can go and you can buy them and have them delivered to your house. If you have Amazon Prime or whatever you have, you know, it is, I don't know what you have, what anybody has, but there's ways to get it, you know, figure it out, put a little bit of money aside, you know, $2, $3, $5, money is hard to come by, I understand that, but put a little bit aside for the things that you desire in your heart the most, and you can have them. And if you still can't afford that, how about praying and asking the Father to send you to a place where you can find them, like Goodwill or the library. I'll tell you this all over and over and over again. You can go to Goodwill and buy things for $5, $6, $7. Some of them get a little pricey. The library is like 10, 15 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents, $1. I think $5 is the most of most books. You can find a lot of things that are out there. Used bookstores is a really good source. You know, they know what they have. They'll charge you some good money for some things. But if they're like getting ready to close down, or they just really don't know what they are, or you got a bunch of really good books in there, but they're more of selling, you know, modern books. They really don't have a heavy price on the things of old, and the things of old are cherished for us who are believing and are looking for those treasures. Let's go and let's bring a home for those lost treasures that are out there. But anyway, that's it's just for you, for anybody who wants to find these things. If you're having trouble finding something that I'm showing you, or something that you're looking for, let me know. Leave me a message below, and I'll try to help you find it. I have a vast amount of resources that I can use to help you find whatever it is that you're looking for. And it has to be something that's, you know, scripturally founded, something that's about believer based, nothing comical or super spiritual out there, you know, nothing crazy. I don't get into those things. So we stick with the scriptures and what the scripture says, what our Messiah, our Mashiach has given us, and we go from there. So we'll hold on to the truth, be great, be blessed, and be all you can be. I'll talk to you all later. I hope you enjoy some of these things that I'm trying to pass on. I'm really trying to find time to sit down and really do some deep teachings on some of these things, but I'm not sure how deep we want to go. We mostly save those things for our home studies, but anyone's welcome to come. You just got to get a hold of me, and I'll lead you to wherever it is you want to meet us at, because we go different places, but we're having fun. So we can always have fun. You know, we're trying to get to the snow before it melts one more time, and maybe we'll start getting to the beach when it starts getting warmer. We're gonna have a good old time. Maybe make a bonfire or something. Anyway, I'm enjoying my salvation. I hope you're enjoying yours. Be blessed, and be great. Thank you. Shalom.